Okay, so now I want to show you, this is how I normally pitch my tarp. 9 times out of 10 when I'm out on the trail, this is how I'll pitch it. You can see I've gone to the second one in for the guide line and the stakeout, and I've got the doors, quote unquote doors, I've got them tied back. Now if it rains, I can close those doors, and I'll show you that in a second. But I like pitching this way. It's a hex look. But it sort of opens it up somewhat. It's more open from underneath, and when you're in your hammock, it's more open. I like being able to look out and see stuff if I can. So I just like it more open. Now you can also go porch mode, and that'll be a different. I'll show that later. But at any rate, it does open it up some, but then you still have options if the storms do come. So I'll show you. I'll go ahead and close the doors and show you that as well. Okay, so we talked about what would we do if we were out hammocking, had our tarp set up, and then a storm came. So I had it set up with the doors open and tied on top before, if you recall. And now what I've done is I've closed and staked the doors on each side of the hammock. And now the hammock is totally encased, inside the tarp, nice and safe from the wind and the rain. And you can also see I lowered the ridge line around the tree. I loosened it using the little piece of hardware, the Dutch fleas. I lowered it probably about a foot and a half, and it's still, because of I'm using a modified Hansen, it's still not interfering with the hammock suspension, which is good. It won't be rubbing on that. And so I lowered it. You can see it's pitched much lower, so the wind won't blow a lot of rain up underneath and hopefully get the side of the hammock wet. I've got the door shut. All I simply have to do is, there's a slippery half hitch holding those shut. I just untie that, walk in, and tie it back, and I'll be nice and safe inside from the elements. So I'll do that, and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so now you can see I'm inside my little storm shelter here. Even though the sun's shining and there's no storm, but that's basically what it looks like. It's no big no big secret, and I don't know how much you can tell looking at the video anyway. But the doors on both ends are closed. The rain would have to be just driving directly in through there to make any kind of difference, and typically it's not going to do that. So we're all closed up. We've got the sides pitched down low. All I have to do at this point is just get in my hammock and lay back and wait out the storm, and I'll be nice and dry. And if it was cold and I had my quilts on, I'd be nice and snug, and I wouldn't have to worry about the quilts getting wet because the sides are so low down there. Stop stuff from blowing up onto my quilts. So yeah, that's my Kelty Noah's 12. I really like it. Like I said, some people think it's too heavy or whatever. I don't worry about, I can carry a lot, so I do. and I might upgrade one day, but in the meantime, this works fine. And Kathy and I both also can hang under it too, because it's so big, which is one of the main reasons I got it in the first place. All right, so next up. Okay, so real quick, I want to talk about what's known as a pole mod. A lot of times guys will get their tarps custom made, at one of the cottage vendors that you find on hammocks forums or any other place. At any rate, so they have them custom made with what's known as a pole mod. And what that is, you see these tie-outs here. These aren't mods. These came stock with my Kelty tarp, but they'll add these tie-outs like these on a custom made tarp. And all I've done is taken that and extended it with a dog bone, and that way, when I put my poles in, it doesn't rub against the tarp itself. So what this does is, you can see when you pull this out, that's gonna pull out the inside and extend how much space you have on the inside. So let's look real quick. So right now, you can see there's not a lack of space underneath there, but it could be a little bigger. So we'll put the pole mods in, and then we'll have more space in there than we do even right now. And these are just some old tent poles. I had a tent that I used way back in the day, And I thank goodness that I don't have to do that anymore. Who wants to sleep on the ground in a tent? So at any rate, so just run this through the end of the dog bone, and I'm gonna rest it up there so it doesn't fall off, hopefully, and do the same with this other one on the other side. So just run that through the end of that dog bone, let it rest on top, and it'll stay there. Okay, then go around the other side, grab this one on the way by. So bring this one down here. Whoop, and it popped out. Make sure it rests in there. And you can see it's laying over the top here, right on top of that continuous ridge line. So it's not rubbing the top of the tarp itself. It's on top of that continuous ridge line. So now I grab the end of my other pole and do the same thing. There are different ways to do this. Some guys use their hiking poles up over the ridge line, and you know, it's just what, you know, I had these poles. I don't take these poles backpacking, but if we go on a car trip, we've used this setup just to give us a little bit more room on the inside, a little bit more headroom. You can see how it's got it pulled out there. So I mean, it's not dramatic, but it is a little bit more.